All right, at this time, we'll call to order the City of Kenai Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for April 23rd, 2025. Can you stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item A2, roll call, please.
Vice Chair Twait,
Here.
Commissioner Petty,
Here?
Commissioner Fikes,
Here.
Commissioner Ersley,
Here.
Commissioner Kraus is absent, Commissioner Woodard,
Here.
Commissioner Reveal,
Here.
you have a quorum.
All right, item A3, election of the chair. Anyone want to make a motion to?
I nominate Jeff Thwaite for the chair.
All right.
I would like to second that, please.
All right, we can take any other nominations if we would like, I guess, huh?
I'd like to nominate Commissioner Sonia.
Need to get another second for that, or how do we do that then? How do we do that?
I think we would probably take a ballot for that. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that's what we wanted to do. Okay.
Point of order, was there a second?
Oh,
We actually don't need a second for nominations, so, all right, so second. All right, so I might just take a moment and go get a little basket and some slips of paper. So I'll be right back.
all right.
Can I interject here and propose that I be placed as vice chair?
No, so that was, you were nominated as chair, is that right?
Yeah,
Or-
but she's asking to not
Oh,
be.
okay. Okay, yeah, if you'd like to decline it, that's just fine. So then, the only nomination then we have on the table then is Jeff Twait. And then, if Twait is elected chair, then we would have an election of vice chair. So,
So any other nominations for chair? All right.
So would you clarify who is up for election?
yes, at the moment, we have a motion for Vice Chair Twait he is nominated to be chair. If his appointment for chair goes through, then we are going to have a separate election for vice chair. There's no nominations for that yet.
Seeing no other nominations, I guess we will call me chair then. How it work? Oh, Commissioner Petty.
Can I request unanimous consent?
All right, unanimous request has been asked for. Is there any objections? All right, seeing none, we now then will take nominations for vice chair. Commissioner Fikes.
Can I nominate Commissioner Sonia?
All right,
I accept.
and I guess we'll ask for any other nominations. All right, well, seeing none, then, Commissioner Petty.
May I request unanimous consent?
Unanimous consent has been requested. Are there any objections? Seeing none, we will then place Commissioner Ersley as vice chair, and we will move on then. We have time for the approval of the agenda and consent agenda. Let me get down to my notes here now. It's not like riding a bike. I forgot what's going on. Is there a motion to approve the agenda and consent agenda as presented?
I make a motion that we approve the agenda and the consent agenda.
All right, do we have a second?
Second?
Second, all right. Would the clerk please read the consent agenda items into the record?
You have approval of minutes, regular meeting of March 26, 2025, and action approval requesting excuse absence for the March 26, 2025 regular meeting from Commissioner Fikes, and that is your consent agenda.
All right, are there any public comments on any of the consent agenda items just read by the clerk? Are there any revisions to the agenda? Are there any objections on approving the agenda and consent agenda? Hearing none, the agenda and consent agenda are approved. Scheduled public comments, we have none. Item D, unscheduled public comments. Anyone wishing to speak to an item not on tonight's agenda? No one online, we're good to go. We'll move on to consideration of plats. We have none. Takes us to item F, public hearings. F1 is PC 2025-14, recommending approval to rezone 28 parcels located near the intersection of the Kenai Spur Highway and Wildwood Drive from suburban residential to general commercial zoning district. Is there a motion? Commissioner Woodard.
I move that we accept or move to approve PZ 2025-14, recommending approval to rezone 28 parcels.
Do we have a second?
I have a question.
Can we get a second first?
Okay.
Second.
Second? All right. And then we'll get a staff report and then we can, and that's probably the best way to do it, huh? Yeah. Yep. All right, let's go ahead and get staff report. Commissioner, planning director, that's the guy. Buettner, please.
I think I just got promoted. So the request is from the applicants is to request a rezone of 28 parcels from suburban residential to general commercial zoning district and a land use map amendment that would be concurrent. The parcels are listed out in the staff report and the resolution. Generally, all but one are on the north or east side of the Spur Highway. Generally in the area of the intersection of Wildwood Drive and the Kenai Spur Highway, and the street that's behind it, both to the north, which is Windflower, and to the south, which is Augustine Way, and the connecting ones such as Orchid Way. There is a boundary map in here as well. That is page 16. That will show you what the proposed rezone would look like. But so they are located primarily northeast Kenai Spur, North Wildwood Drive, in the Black Gold Estates subdivision amended. One parcel, which is KPB parcel 039022122, which is the only one to the west, is currently split zoned as residential, suburban, and general commercial. So that would be more of a housekeeping. It's where Weaver Brothers is. It's mostly commercial, but the west part of their lot is a split zone. So the new zoning for that particular parcel would be wholly general commercial. There are also parcels south of Wildwood in the Carl F. Almstrom subdivision that have been included due to their proximity to other commercial general zone parcels. The purpose of the rezone is to allow commercial uses to be developed on subject parcels. Most of them, again, front the Spur Highway, which is a pretty heavily traveled roadway. As anticipated, the commercial uses are more likely to develop along the corridor and would act as a buffer to proposed suburban residential subdivisions beyond the affected parcels. The Spur Highway is classified as principal arterial in this location by the Alaska Department of Transportation, and as such is used to convey a higher volume of traffic to Kiski and points north. So obviously higher traffic, more road noise. The parcels were originally platted in the 1960s. As development priorities within the city have changed over time, preferred use of the land has also changed. And with the high traffic, again, we think commercial is the best fit here. So in analysis, the area to be zoned contains more than the minimum of 1 acre. The affected parcels are owned by several different landowners. The staff report needs to be slightly amended. We did find that we didn't have, when we initially did the staff report, we didn't know that we had a couple extra parcels that were on the list. So the list that is on there and the resolution, those are accurate. The staff report is not 100% accurate. It's 98% the way there, but there's a couple extra details that are not in. But the overall intent is still the same. Currently, the existing zoning is suburban residential, as we said, and the intent of that zone is to have separate residential structures to an extent that allow for adequate light, air, and privacy. Again, having proximity to the highway, we don't think that is the best use of the land. The area is currently surrounded to the west and south with existing commercial uses. Commercial use is also present in the center of the proposed rezoning area on the northeast side. Subdivision has not been developed in over 60 years, and given current development trends in the city of Kenai, the land closest to the Kenai Spur Highway is typically used for commercial uses. The current zoning prohibits commercial uses unless it is conditional use, which may preclude potential development from occurring. The land that is zoned commercial to the south and west of here has already been developed almost completely. So we do believe that there's demand for additional commercial space along this corridor. It would increase the size of the zoning district and basically make a more cohesive corridor, and would then minimize potential impacts because of the existing commercial development. In terms of the comprehensive plan, Kenai residents place a high value on residential neighborhoods that are safe for all ages and be located near important community facilities such as schools, recreational facilities, the library, parks, government services, and commercial areas. With that current land use classification, that land is really close to virtually nothing because there is no development there that is readily accessible by pedestrians. And again, having the higher volume of traffic on the Kenai Spur Highway, it does not really jive with the suburban residential neighborhood as it was proposed decades ago. So, don't want to read everything back to you. But based on the findings and analysis in the staff report, staff recommends that the Planning and Zoning Commission recommend approval of a rezone of 28 parcels from suburban residential to general commercial zoning district, recommending a zone map amendment and a land use map amendment. And your recommendation will then be forwarded to City Council for their ultimate consideration.
Thank you. At this time, we'll open it up for public testimony. Anyone wishing to speak to PZ 2025-14?
Alex Dothett, live in the city of Kenai. Also on this, I own multiple of these properties in this. It's been on my mind for quite some time to open up these areas to commercial. One of the, you'll notice in the packet, I do have the large majority of the property owners. Pretty much anybody that is local anyway was able to sign on with a letter of intent saying that they would support this also. One of the things, if you look to, as you're going out into Kiski by that, most all those lots near Windflower, and then also if you go on the same side of the road by Orchard Way, the gentleman that is selling those lots currently has them listed as commercial possibilities. So this cleans that up. So he's advertising them as commercial lots and the option to be a commercial lot, but they're not technically zoned that way yet. So this helps clean that up. And then if you look at the other side of the highway, it would now mirror very closely to similar size of the other side of the highway as it does now. These areas aren't being developed. I'm hoping this will encourage that. If you really look at the city of Kenai, there's not a lot of general commercial left. And these are underutilized lots, and I'm hoping that this will encourage other individuals to build commercially in this area by opening these up. There's a lot directly across from Weaver Brothers. The lot, it's fairly large, just to the outside of my property, which is the main parcel on that side of the road. Anyway, the individual, I did contact them at one point a couple years ago, and they were under the impression it already was commercial, even though it's residential, and they were willing to sell it as a commercial lot, even though it wasn't. So I think the feeling is that a lot of these people believe that they are commercial and are wanting to market them commercially, but technically it's not. So that's where this comes in, cleaning it up. I think there was a letter of support from RPMs. RPMs is the mechanic shop right there on the corner. He supported it because he's been looking at wanting to develop possibly further behind him, and this would allow him to be able to do that easier. So that's why those lots there were also included in that. So again, it helps clean up some of this, hopefully encourages some of this underdeveloped land, and opens up more general commercial for development. And then in this way, I think it mirrors closely both sides of the highway now when you're doing that. So that is the reasoning behind this, and that's what started it.
All right, anybody have any questions? For him? Nope. All right.
I'm just curious, how many of the people have actually been talked to that are part of this subdivision proposal?
You have those letters of support. I don't know if I had a map, I can show you all the owners. And then they've all been, public notice has been done also on that. I don't know if you can look at the map. I could count them out loud. Yeah, there's letters of support in there. Of those support, let's see, hold on one second. I count unless the staff has it already, I'm not sure.
It's okay, Alex. My concern is that some of these people are obviously not City of Kenai residents. And they still have an interest in the property, whether they want to sell it or develop it themselves at a later date. Would it be prudent to wait for some of them to respond to the letters that they've been sent? And if they haven't responded over a period of time, say, send out another letter and see if they respond?
Well, that is probably a question for staff as opposed to Mr. Dothit. So if we have anything else for Mr. Dothit, if not, we'll set him down and then we can.
And if you want, I can count how many lots. Like, I know it's somewhere 90 some odd % of the lots have support of this rezone. And I got all that support literally in one day.
Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Seeing no one else, we will close public hearing and bring it back to the commission. And maybe we can address this first. So Director Buettner, do you have anything to add to that?
We did, our standard noticing is 300 feet from all the affected parcels. That is a buffer built from the edge of each parcel, not from a center point. All those letters did go out.
Oh, all right. Okay, yep, go ahead.
So they have been noticed. To date, we have not received any responses, written, phone call. We did receive one phone call from a parcel that is not affected, it is just to the north, but they're within 300 foot. We assured them that nothing for their specific property was going to change, but they otherwise voice support verbally. But to date, we have no other things, and a couple did come back, a couple properties that are held in trust. The mailing address wasn't correct, and so it came back to us unforwardable. But today, we have no negative comments.
All right, so we do have someone online. We'll see if they would like to provide any testimony.
Hi, Jalen Rogers, I saw that you had your hand up a moment ago, so I'm giving you the ability to unmute.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, thank you. Apologies, I was watching on the YouTube stream and then was able to get the Zoom link. So apologies for the comments. I just want to say that I recently bought a piece of property on Windflower 2819. And so I just want to say thank you for sending out the notice. I do live in Anchorage, and so I'm not from Kenai area. And didn't know that this meeting was going on until I got the mailing in my mailbox. So just wanted to say thank you for that.
And I guess, are you in favor of this then?
I recently, this is the first property that I bought. And the main reason I bought it was because it was in a residential area and there was hardly any commercial properties. And so I didn't really look at the agenda and kind of look at the packet to have a well enough opinion. So I would say I am neither right now.
All right, thank you. So just for clarification, is your lot on Windflower and the Spur Highway, or is it behind the highway?
It is behind that fourplex that's directly on the highway. I think the address is 2819. So it's not one of the parcels listed, but it's it's near there. And I guess the intention of that property is for me to go camping since I am from the Anchorage area. So I guess we'll just I guess I'll see what happens from here.
Okay, so it looks like your lot is still going to remain suburban residential, or whatever the current zoning is. You wouldn't be part of the rezone, but you were noticed just because you're close to it, so. And I'll let Director Buettner add to that.
And before any commercial development would potentially go in, the city still does have site plan review. So with commercial properties abutting a residential neighborhood, proper landscaping, vegetative screening, all those would be taken into consideration. That would be a whole different thing, and all those affected properties would also be noticed again. So potentially if a commercial development were to go close to this property, we would definitely invite you to speak at that meeting as well to make sure that all your concerns are addressed before any development happen.
Good.
All right,
Do you
thank you
have
so
any-
much. I would just appreciate any I do appreciate getting stuff in the mail, so that would work best for me for any notices. So thank you for having that option still.
Great, thank you. All right, Commissioner Fikes.
Yeah, can you help me clarify on the map? I'm looking on Redoubt Avenue. So am I looking at commercial too far south? So even though it's blue, what does that mean?
This is existing,
Okay,
so this is already commercial.
so
Yeah,
this shaded blue is not commercial?
Blue is not commercial. Blue in this is suburban residential.
Oh, okay, that's where I got confused.
And our, the proposed in the packet, I believe, is page 28, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, all right, the blue threw me.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? I have a question, I guess, which could have probably been for Mr. Dothit, but I would assume if the next step for some of this could potentially be to re-subdivide some of these smaller lots, if the property owners have them in a group where that would make sense, because a bunch of .17 commercial lots probably isn't ideal. So I would assume that could be something we would be looking at in the future too as well.
Yes, so, and that's another intent that I'm working on also, is 4 of the lots between Wildwood Drive and kind of in that area of Orchard that butts mine. I'm in the process, I think we reviewed it last time, is combining those into almost a 1 acre lot. And I know the landowner that owns the lots next to me, they're for sale, so I don't think he's working on trying to do anything. And then that same landowner owns the chunk of lots by Windflower North that are up to about Lilac, if you look across, he's also he's advertised them commercially for sale, but I don't know what the intent is. I doubt, since he's trying to sell it, but he's trying to sell them as a block, I know that. So I would assume anybody that were to buy it would probably be looking into rezoning and not rezoning, but replatting them into larger lots. That's one of the largest concerns about this entire subdivision, is that they're very tiny lots and there's no utilities back there. So the only utilities you can obtain for these lots would either be from the Kenai Spur Highway or Wildwood Drive area. So many of those Windflower Drive lots back there aren't really developable right now as a residential, not feasible for residential development is the problem. And in the meantime, when I was looking at this, apparently one of the lots that borders this has been repossessed by the borough and is for tax purposes. So one of these lots is now borough owned. It's no longer owned by the original person. When I was looking up on the map, I noticed, which tends to happen a lot in this subdivision.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner Petty.
Well, because of the limited amount of commercial opportunity that's in our city, I would be very advantageously in favor of this for future development and for tax base for our communities. And it's
currently surrounded by commercial. And so I am in wholeheartedly full support of this opportunity.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Seeing none, we will call for the vote, please.
Commissioner Petty,
Yes.
Commissioner Reveal,
No.
Commissioner Ersley,
Yes.
Commissioner Woodard,
Yes.
Commissioner Twait,
Yes.
Commissioner Fikes.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, we will move on to item G, unfinished business. G1 is Aspen Creek, and it looks like maybe Director Buettner has something to add to that, no?
At this time, we have received no further complaints. The construction is scheduled to be done really anytime now. When the owner came in February, he stated roughly the first week of May, which is coming up on us very quickly. Don't know how that's happening. So we're cautiously optimistic that things are starting to wind down with traffic, but we're going to keep our eye on it for a few more weeks just to see, once the contractors are gone, if the traffic does also dwindle back to a normal level.
Commissioner Petty.
So a number of my acquaintances and friends live in that community, which are greatly affected. And they have still spoke to me with their concerns moving forward. So even though none of the community members are here this evening, I know that it is still high on their thought process, that their quiet neighborhood is still highly affected by the commercial aspect of the opportunity of that facility that's there. So I did want to bring that to everyone's attention. So thank you for letting me share that with you.
Thank you. All right, we will move on to H, new business. That was handled through our consent agenda, so we'll move on to I, reports. Planning Director Buettner.
I just want to say welcome to spring. Things are starting to pick up quite a bit. I do have a couple of items under informational items, but those happen to be after adjournment, so I'll touch on them briefly. First one is the land donation to KPHI. So there's been a conditional, it's being considered, it has not happened yet. Council is considering some land donation to the north of their existing lots, which are on Redoubt. They've already developed 2. They're going under construction for lots 3 and 4. They've requested an additional, basically to mirror those lots to the north of those, and construct a new right-of-way, basically make an entrance. It was introduced at council, and I believe was actually, I take that back. The reason it didn't come to us first is with land donation, it is a council decision, but I definitely wanted to keep you guys informed. They had to move kind of quickly because the grant cycle opened at the beginning of April and closed at the very beginning of May, which would have precluded us getting in front of council unless we moved quite quickly. The council did deliberate. It is conditional, so there are a lot of conditions on it. If things don't happen to the city's satisfaction, they can always pull it back. But they have been able to add low income and senior housing that is definitely needed in this area. And this would be doing the same, but they would allow them to reconfigure some of the lots to get even more units without being an overwhelming presence. It's just a matter of how the spacing works. So council seemed to be in favor, but again, we're going to keep our eye on what happens as development goes on. And the second piece was the bridge access bike path. We did finally receive plans, so we might actually get a bike path from bridge access up to the Spur Highway. Looks like it'll be on the east side. Beaver Loop to the highway, sorry, along bridge access. It is not going to go down to the bridge at this time, but other considerations may be to develop some plans for in the future. Eventually, DOT is going to have to replace the bridge. So if we have a plan in place, hopefully at some point that missing link could come to fruition.
Commissioner Petty?
So in regards to that land donation, I am so sorry. I do not know the acronym for KPHI. Would you be so kind as to share with me what that is?
Yes, and I know better. I'm sorry. Kenai Peninsula Housing Initiative.
And where is this land that they're anticipating donating? Where is it located in the city?
It is north of Redoubt, to the west of Inlet Woods, to the east of the area of First and Second, and where Third and Fourth would be when they're fully developed. Their initial development is directly on Redoubt, and this will be immediately to the north. The city right now, it's about 69.5 acres. After this, it's a very large tract, hasn't been subdivided yet. If subdivided, it will go down to about 64.5, so it still could house a much larger development to the rear of that. And it would be between Redoubt and Wildwood, the actual prison.
And so is that donation in anticipation of low-income housing and additional fourplexes?
They may be bigger than fourplexes. They could be six units. We are looking at, right now they have some conditional use permits up there. But depending on how things roll, when we start talking about some of the conditional use process, it may make sense to look at potential strategic areas of the city being possibly rezoned to mirror others. There's already urban residential along Redoubt, and maybe expanding that zone may be appropriate to, one, eliminate the conditional use permits, and two, allow that kind of development. It wouldn't be the entire area, it would just be a very narrow strip along Redoubt. Much like this is Redoubt's a little heavier traveled than some of the side streets, but having denser residential up front and then having the suburban or rural residential behind it with the slightly bigger lots and smaller development patterns, we think might be a bit more appropriate than putting single-family houses directly out onto Redoubt.
So if I remember correctly, last May, June, somewhere along there, we did approve something for them, and they were going to supposedly start construction last year on something. That's what they're getting ready to start now then?
Correct. They did get funded last year. So the city's given them to date four parcels. They had funding for 3, and they are locking down funding. They don't have the grant agreement yet, but it's in the works for the 4th one. So that'll be the last 2 that are right there on Redoubt. They are clearing trees. We've already got an agreement to get stuff ready. So per their grant agreement with their funder, they have to have it constructed this season. So all those buildings should be well underway. A couple of them aren't due until next year, but they're aiming to have almost all of them open by the fall.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Petty?
You mentioned something about 69 acres. Was that the land donation amount?
No, the land was only for 5 acres on the southern portion of that larger 69.5 acre tract that the city owns.
Thank you for that.
Anything else for Director Buettner? I got one, just because I'm just curious. I haven't heard anything. What's going on right across the street here? Is that anything exciting?
The owners of the lot across the street are putting in a landscaping plan because it is a commercial lot, and if you remove more than 20% of the trees, you have to turn in a landscape plan. They noted to us when we looked across the street and saw trees coming down, reached out to them like, hey, what's going on? We don't have a plan. They did tell us a lot of it was beetle kill. There were some other healthy trees, but it was kind of hit or miss, so they opted to remove most of them. So they are getting us a landscaping plan, but they will be able to, once they get the logistics worked out, they'll get all the trees removed and off the property and disposed of. Just kind of chicken and egg at this point, getting everything lined up.
So not a planned project right now, they were just getting it cleared up and getting it more attractive looking. Okay. All right, we'll move on, and I will be simple tonight. As the new commission chair, I have nothing prepared to say other than thank you, and I'll try to be on top of it better next meeting. So, Borough Planning, Commissioner Fikes.
All righty, we had a short meeting. We had a conditional use permit in the Soldotna area, and that was for replacement of utilities, septic system, and a fish cleaning station within the Habitat Protection District of the Kenai River. And that was before us last meeting, and it was addressed at this meeting after deliberation and discussion and findings cited with legal involved that it was going to satisfy all of the standards, and it was ultimately passed. And that was the only one on there. Then we had another one for Davison Avenue in Soldotna, and that was a request for replacement of a deck within the 50-foot Habitat Protection District. And that one passed as well. Staff report, everything, findings was all there. No real issues. The one before that so like the one that came before us this last week was just pretty much a simple deck. The one that was more involved, the homeowner was trying to do was to put in a full-on fish cleaning station. He wanted toilets, he wanted running water, he wanted everything right in the Habitat Protection District. And so legal was trying to help us work through findings to justify in the Habitat Protection District, is it water related? And so that was what the great debate was, and ultimate resolution to allow that to be developed in that protection district with the findings that were cited. And then we had a plat committee report, and we reviewed 15 plats, and all 15 were reviewed and approved. And that was all we had.
Any questions for Commissioner Fikes? All right, move on to City Council, Councilmember Askin.
Thank you, Chair Twait. So the council met on the 16th. We had our 2024 audit report, and everything was fine there. The Boys and Girls Club gave us scheduled public comment. The executive director, Shanette Wick, brought in some kids that were part of the group that's over at the rec center. And then CARTS has undergone an extensive revamp of officers and directors, and they're doing a bunch of improvements to the whole CARTS program, and they also were asking for a donation from the city. As far as public hearings, we accepted a donation to the Kenai Animal Shelter for purchase of equipment and supplies, and as previously discussed, we've conditionally donated 4.5 acres to the Kenai Peninsula Housing Initiative for restricted income and senior housing. And then we redirected water and sewer capital project funds to complete citywide lift station improvements. And then that was a resolution. And another resolution was a new fee for a truck fill station permit in water fees section of the schedule of rates, charges, and fees. This is for commercial entities that like get water from fire hydrants for construction projects. And I think they set it up for just at Dobbin Spec, is that correct? Or the airport? That's right. And then we authorized a award of a contract to use Crane's offices and operation area at the boating facility. This is for commercial fishermen to move their fish. And then we authorized the city manager to enter into an agreement with the city of Soldotna to continue providing animal shelter services for the city of Soldotna. We've done that for about 5 years. And then there was another meeting. There was a meeting scheduled for the 17th of April at the Kenai Visitor Center regarding the bluff erosion project. That got postponed to the 30th. And then we had executive session we did performance appraisals for our attorney and city manager. And that's it. Any questions?
Commissioner Fikes?
On the continuation of the 5-year contract for assistance of Soldotna, does that allow us the enforcement for animal control violations as well, or is that just to round up loose critters?
That's just, we just take their critters.
So if there's any kind of vicious attacks, do we get involved, or?
No,
No.
because that's city ordinance. That's the city of Soldotna stuff. We just are taking care of the animals. And we've done that for like 5
And
years.
are you aware that they'll tell you that, no, Kenai handles that?
No,
So if
I
you have
was
a
not aware
vicious
of that.
animal attack, they'll tell you Kenai handles that.
Oh, really? I'll pass that along. Thank you, Commissioner Fikes.
That's why we're the better city.
Yeah, at least we respond.
Any other questions for Councilmember Askin? I have just one. The postponement for the bluff erosion, is that because the project is also slow starting, or is it, we're still on track?
As far as I know, we're still on track. Something came up that I don't know what it was. but they canceled it.
Director Bittner?
Public noticing wasn't, so the Army Corps they own and maintain the project. They're the ones, regular project. And with the Clarion being down, they didn't get their public noticing in on time, so it didn't give the current 2 weeks' notice. So they wanted to make sure they were meeting all the requirements, so that's why it got postponed.
Gotcha, thank you. Any other questions for Councilmember Askin? All right, thank you very much. We will move on to additional public comments. Don't see anybody out there for that. Our next meeting will be May 14th. Anybody not going to be lucky enough to be here? Commissioner Patty?
Yes, I would like to say that I will be traveling and will not be available.
Very good. Anyone else? All right. Commissioners' comments and questions. We'll start off with the newbie, Commissioner Reveal.
I want to thank you guys for your vote of confidence. I believe that this will be a great adventure for me, learning about the planning and zoning and how the system works. I also want to congratulate the new vice chair and the new chair for their positions. And I hope that we all get to know each other really well and put together some good stuff. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Earsley. Vice Chair Earsley. Slap down.
Congratulations, Jeff. I'm happy it's spring.
Very much agreed. Commissioner Woodard.
I want to welcome Jeannie. Glad to see her here. And congratulations to both of you, and you're back in the hot seat.
Not to mention, I'm sure you all noticed, the only guy up here now. I was like, slowly we've been taking over here. I don't know. All right, Commissioner Petty.
Yes, I would like to welcome our newest commissioner. Thank you, Jeannie, for being available to serve our community. I'd like to congratulate both our vice chair and our chair for the great work that they will do moving forward. I would also like to encourage everyone, because it's been a long time coming, on April the 30th, if you're out there in the world of internet, our bluff erosion is coming to fruition. And we have the opportunity to hear from the Corps of Engineers, who will be doing that, a fabulous job for our community. So it'll be at the Visitor Center on April the 30th. Come on down.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner Fikes.
Welcome aboard to the new commissioner, and thank you again for stepping up, Jeff, and serving as our chair. And welcome aboard to our new vice chair. Thank you.
All right, I will leave that right where it's sitting then. We have no pending items and all the business complete. The meeting is adjourned.